These are the 8 best combos for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Draft. By assembling these commons and uncommons together, you can boost the power levels of your decks and win more games. First up is the combo between Leonardo Leader in Blue and Splinter Hamato Yoshi. Leonardo is a single white mana for a 2/1 that has Sneak, 3 white. When Leonardo enters, if his Sneak cost was paid, creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn, and then you can spend 2 mana to give Leonardo First Strike until end of turn. Splinter is 1 and a black for a 1/3 with a Sneak cost of a single black mana. He has Menace, and other ninjas you control get +1/+1. What you can do with these 2 cards is if you have Leonardo in play already and you're making a big attack, say, you can attack, and if your Leonardo goes unblocked, potentially because your opponent doesn't want to deal with the first strike, you can sneak the Splinter into play, returning your Leonardo to hand, and then if you have enough mana, you can then re-sneak Leonardo into play to buff up all of your creatures. So if you have 6 mana, you can kind of do a double sneak to re-get the Leonardo sneak ability, which is particularly relevant if you're playing Leonardo in the early turns of the game. If you're a bit later in the game and you have the Leonardo in hand already and you have the Splinter in play, you can do something very similar where you do a big attack, then you sneak in your Leonardo Leader in Blue, and then you sneak in Splinter, returning the Leonardo to your hand so that you can do it again next turn and constantly be buffing up your creatures. So having cheap sneak cards alongside Leonardo Leader in Blue lets you set up these double sneak cards, synergies, and if you are playing against a Leonardo Leader in Blue, oftentimes it's going to be worth blocking it to prevent your opponent from assembling this powerful type of combo. Next is the combo between Venus Torn Between Worlds and Novel Nunchaku. Venus Torn Between Worlds is 4 and a green for a 5/5. Whenever Venus is dealt damage, put that many +1/+1 counters on her. She must survive the damage to get the counters. And whenever a creature you control with a counter on it deals combat damage to a player, you may pay blue. If you do, draw a card. Now, Novel Nunchaku is whenever this creature equipment enters, attach it to target creature you control. When you do, equipped creature fights up to 1 target creature an opponent controls. And so that means, and the equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has trample. So Venus might sometimes struggle to take damage while surviving because it'll mean your opponent's like chump attacking into you or your opponent's chump blocking the Venus. So sometimes it might just be a 5/5. But if you use Novel Nunchaku, all of a sudden you can get your opponent's creature to damage your Venus just by having a fight happen. And then you're going to be having a giant trample creature because the Novel Nunchaku is going to give Venus trample. Maybe it fights a 3/3, gets 3 counters. All of a sudden, if you does hit your opponent, you're going to pay the blue to draw a card. It's just a really powerful little synergy to make your Venus even bigger by using the Novel Nunchaku. Next is the combo between Sewer Valence Cam and Henchbot. So Sewer Valence Cam is a single blue. It has flash. When it enters or leaves the battlefield, you may tap or untap target creature, and then you can spend 3 and a blue to sacrifice it to draw 2 cards. So basically going to give you some card draw, but also going to let you tap or untap creatures. And then Henchbots is 4 mana for a 2/3. When this creature enters, exile target tapped creature an opponent controls until this creature leaves the battlefield. So if the creature you want to exile isn't tapped, you're out of luck. But if you have Sewer Valence Cam, you can play the Sewer Valence Cam maybe on your opponent's end step, tap down the problematic creature, then use your Henchbots to exile that creature until the Henchbots leaves play. So even if your opponent has the big creature that they don't necessarily want to tap, you can still get rid of it using your Henchbots if you're able to assemble this combo. Next is the combo between Bebop Warthog Warrior and Rocksteady Crash Courser. So Bebop is 4 and a black for a 5/4 with Menace. Rhinos you control have Menace, though Bebop itself is a boar mutant warrior. And then it has Swamp Cycling for 2 mana. Rocksteady Crash Courser is 4 green for a 7/7 Rhino mutant. Rocksteady can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. Boars you control can't be blocked by more than 1 creature, but Rocksteady is a Rhino. And then it has 4 cycling for 2. So the fact that Bebop is a boar to synergize with the Rocksteady ability, and Rocksteady is a Rhino to synergize with the Bebop ability means that when both are in play, you're going to have creatures that have Menace and that can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. And Menace means that it can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. And so that means when you put the 2 of them together, you have 2 unblockable creatures, which is going to end the game in a hurry because they also have pretty big stat lines. So that's definitely one to keep an eye out for. Next up is the combo between Mouser Foundry and Nobody. So Mouser Foundry says when it enters or leaves the battlefield, you make a 1/1 colorless robot artifact creature token. And then you can spend 5 mana, sacrifice this artifact, it deals 3 damage to target creature. Nobody is 1 blue-red, so has hybrid mana for a 3/2, and then when it enters, you return up to 1 other target artifact you control to its owner's hand, scry 1. So if you play Mouser Foundry on turn 2, you get that 1/1 token. Then you play Nobody on turn 3, return the Mouser Foundry to your hand, and you get an extra 1/1 because the Mouser Foundry left play. So that's just a nice little 2/3 curve that you can assemble in your artifacts decks, and then you'll have plenty of time, generally speaking, to redeploy the Mouser Foundry before you get up to that 5 mana and want to be sacrificing it to deal 3 to a creature. Next is the combo between Everything Pizza and Omni Cheese Pizza. It's the pizza combo order, if you will. Everything Pizza is a interesting build around that's kind of hard to enable in theory because it's 2 mana, and when it enters, you search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle, and then you spend 2 white, blue, black, red, green. So you have to spend 1 of each color, sacrifice it, target player gains 3 life and draws a card. Each of your opponents discards a card. This artifact deals 3 to any target, put 3 counters on up to 1 target creature. So it's really hard to get all 5 colors of mana into your deck. But if you are playing, let's say, 2 colors and then you're splashing a 3rd color and then you have a few copies of Omni Cheese Pizza in your deck, Omni Cheese Pizza is 2 mana. When it enters, draw a card, so it replaces itself, and then you can spend 1 and tap it to sacrifice it, add 1 mana of any color, then 2, tap, sacrifice this artifact, you gain 3 life. So if you have Everything Pizza, you're splashing a little bit, maybe you want to splash a couple of cards of different colors, you use your Everything Pizza to get like your 1 basic of that color, then Omni Cheese Pizza, you have a couple of those in play, you can just save them around, and then in the late game, you have a few pizzas in play, and that's going to get you the colors that you need to activate your Everything Pizza. This is definitely the sort of thing that you do need a few Omni Cheese Pizzas to make this one work, or you want to be splashing maybe multiple colors, or maybe you're relying on some dual lands that can maybe help you activate the Everything Pizza, but it's definitely way more feasible than it looks, especially with the help of the other pizza card. And the the next combo is between Ice Cream Kitty and Tunnel Rats. So I guess cat and mouse here in this combo. You get the 2 mana 1/3 that says pay 2 mana, sacrifice another creature or token, draw a card, activate only as a sorcery, and then 2, tap, sacrifice this creature, you gain 3 life. So generally speaking though, you're going to be wanting to use that 2 mana ability to start sacrificing your creatures or tokens to pull ahead on card advantage. Tunnel Rats is a 2 mana 2/2, but it has 5 mana, return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So in the late game, if you have both of these cards, you can spend 5 mana to return your Tunnel Rats to play, 2 mana to sacrifice it to the Ice Cream Kitty, and you've got a 7 mana draw an extra card every turn, which is going to be really, really effective at winning you any drawn out game with tons of card advantage. The final combo is between Escape Tunnel and Foot Ninjas. Escape Tunnel is going to be generally sacrificed to search your library for a basic land card, but you can sacrifice it to give target creature with power 2 or less basically unblockable until end of turn. So if you get into a late game scenario where your opponent's at a pretty low life total, giving a creature the ability that it can't be blocked for a turn is pretty good. But if your opponent's at maybe 3, 4, or 5 life, that's not going to be able to finish the job. If you do have a Foot Ninjas in your hand though, you can give a small creature the can't be blocked, and then sneak the Foot Ninjas into play, and your opponent can't then retroactively block it. And so that's a really nice way where a lot of the times you're going to want to just play out your Foot Ninjas, but if the board is stalled enough and you don't think your Foot Ninjas is going to be able to connect, or you think your opponent's sitting on like sorcery speed removal spells, and you think your best bet is going to be to just push through the damage directly, you can use your Escape Tunnel, give a creature unblockable, then use that unblocked creature to sneak in a Foot Ninjas and kind of do a little bit more damage than just the 2 that Escape Tunnel would often be doing. So that's definitely a good thing to keep in mind for your sneak decks. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you made it to the end, leave hashtag teamwork in the comment section down below because these cards are teaming up to help your deck become more effective and help you win more. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you next time.